Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening: India and the UK sign a free trade agreement. Average tariffs to be reduced from 15% to 3%. Tariffs removed on nearly 99% of goods and services traded between both countries. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Starmer say the deal will boost bilateral trade by $35 billion annually. The US and the European Union move closer to a trade deal ahead of the 1st of August deadline. President Trump says EU will fully fund the purchase of American weapons, some of which will be sent to Ukraine. Trump also says Washington is in the process of completing a deal with China. President Trump tells US tech companies to put America first, says the days of companies reaping the blessing of American freedom while building factories in China and hiring workers in India are over. Positive global cues fail to lift Dalal Street. The Sensex and the Nifty declined by nearly 1%. Mid-caps fall in tandem with the blue chips. IndusInd Bank gets the board's approval to raise 30,000 crore rupees. Hindujas set to increase their presence on the board as RBI allows promoters to amend the Articles of Association and nominate up to 2 directors. Shares of Indian Energy Exchange plunged 30% a day after India's electricity regulator announces a mechanism known as market coupling. The fall is the second steepest decline among BSE 500 stocks in the last 5 years, behind only Zee Entertainment. Market coupling will allow energy markets to create a single uniform price for electricity across different trading platforms and end the IEX dominance. Former Economic Affairs Secretary Ajay, Seth appointed as the new chairman of the insurance regulator, the IRDAI, for a 3-year term. RBI, Secy and the IRDAI now being helmed by former Finance Ministry bureaucrats. The Enforcement Directorate raids 40 sites linked to Anil Ambani. Sources say the raids are in connection with the Reliance Communications allegedly defrauding banks with loans over worth 14,000 crores. Anil Ambani Group companies say the raids have no impact on their businesses. Alphabet earnings top expectations. The tech giant announces it will hike capital investments by $10 billion this year. Backlash against Elon Musk in Europe hurts Tesla. The EV giant reports its biggest quarterly revenue decline in more than a decade. Musk warns of a few rough quarters going forward. A passenger plane with 49 people on board crashes in Russia's far eastern region bordering China. The flight, operated by Siberia-based Angara Airlines, vanished from the radar and lost contact with air traffic controllers. Armies of Thailand and Cambodia exchange fire as a border dispute flares up. Thailand closes the borders, launches airstrikes after claiming Cambodia attacked 9 civilians. Well, straight to the top story this evening. India and the UK have signed a free trade agreement which is estimated to boost bilateral trade between both nations by $35 billion annually. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer received Prime Minister Modi at the Chequers House. During the visit, both leaders will review bilateral trade ties and discuss issues including technology, investment, climate, defence and migration. As part of the trade deal, India will lower its average tariffs on products from the UK from 15% to 3%. British Prime Minister Starmer has said India and the UK are launching the Vision 2035 strategy to work more closely on defence and health, while Prime Minister Modi said that Indian security agencies will continue to enhance cooperation and coordination on matters such as extradition of economic offenders.
Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी.
This is the biggest and most economically significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. And I think I can say that it's one of the most comprehensive deals that India has ever done, boosting wages, raising living standards, and putting more money in the pockets of working people. It is good for jobs, it is good for business, cutting tariffs and making trade cheaper, quicker and easier.
Cricket is not just a game, but a passion. And also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bet, we are committed to building high-scoring, solid partnership.
While using the cricket analogy there, that's Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Parikshit standing by with more on the India-UK trade agreement. Parikshit, deal finally done. Of course, both sides believe that this is going to be a win-win. Take us through some of the specific contours on what this deal will mean for both sides.
The India-UK FTA will boost bilateral trade by $35 billion annually. The deal reduces the average tariff on UK products from 15% earlier to 3%. UK's soft drinks, cosmetics, cars, medical devices, Scotch whisky, gin and lamb to get cheaper in India and will get better market access. The UK government has said that UK clean energy companies will have unprecedented access to the Indian procurement market. Through this FTA, UK's financial services and professional businesses will get certainty to expand, and insurance companies will benefit from binding foreign investment cap in the insurance sector. UK and Indian financial services companies will be treated equally after this FTA, said the UK Prime Minister's office. India's labour-intensive sectors will benefit from zero duties in UK. Sectors such as leather and footwear, textiles, engineering goods, chemicals, fertilizers, plastics, sports goods, toys will benefit from zero duty access. Also, engineering goods for that matter. Tariffs will also be reduced on gems and jewellery. The FTA eliminates duties on 95% of agri-tariff lines, and Indian fruits, vegetables, cereals, processed foods will also get cheaper in the UK. Duties to be eliminated also on 99% of marine exports from India to the United Kingdom, such as shrimps and tuna. Indian coffee and craft drinks, such as Fenny and wines, to get cheaper in the United Kingdom. Agriculture exports to UK to rise by over 20% in 3 years, according to the Indian government estimates. However, India will not compromise on dairy, apples, oats, edible oils and other sensitive sectors. There will be greater opportunity for Indian professionals such as those in IT, financial services, management consultancy, architecture, engineering. The FTA will also ease mobility for contractual service suppliers, professionals like chefs and yoga instructors, and there will also be relief from double social security contributions.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. We will, of course, get our viewers more comprehensive coverage of the FTA and what it means for India Inc. and for us as consumers. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. We've got special programming lined up for you. Well, staying with trade, the US and the EU have moved closer to a trade deal ahead of the 1st of August deadline. Speaking at the AI summit in Washington, D.C., President Trump has said that EU will fully fund the purchase of American weapons. He added that some of the weapons would be sent to aid Ukraine's war against Russia. However, a formal trade deal has not been announced yet by the US or the EU. President Trump also said that Washington is in the process of completing a deal with China.
We're in the process of completing our deal with China. And as you know, the UK, we made a deal. It was a very good deal for everybody. Everybody's happy. It's always nice when everybody can be happy. But mostly we'll be charging straight tariffs to most of the rest of the world because we have over 200 countries. People don't realize that's a lot of deals. We're making deals with various Asian countries that need it, and it's actually hard to believe. You don't think of it, but Asia is very close to Alaska, relatively speaking. It's not the closest, but it is pretty much the closest when it comes to oil and gas and energy. Just made a deal with the European Union where they're going to pay the United States of America 100% of the cost of all military equipment. They're going to ship it to the European Union, and then they'll distribute it, and much of it will go to Ukraine. It's been a long time since you've heard those words, because we're in for $350 billion, but now we send it to Europe, and Europe pays.
Well, that's President Trump. Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping vowed to deepen ties with the EU as both sides kicked off a summit in Beijing to discuss the trade conflict and the Ukraine war. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen urged the Chinese leader to address the rising trade imbalance between the two major economies. The summit marks 50 years since the establishment of EU-China bilateral relations. Now, President Trump has told U.S. tech companies to put America first. He said the days of companies reaping the blessings of American freedom while building factories in China and hiring workers in India are over. He added that the American tech industry's pursuit of radical globalism betrayed millions in the U.S.
Many of our largest tech companies have reaped the blessings of American freedom while building their factories in China, hiring workers in India, and slashing profits in Ireland. You know that? All the while dismissing and even censoring their fellow citizens right here at home. Under President Trump, those days are over. We need U.S. technology companies to be all in for America. We want you to put America first. You have to do that. That's all we ask.
And President Trump is set to make a rare visit to the Federal Reserve later tonight. He's set to join a previously arranged tour for several White House advisors of the construction site where the Fed is renovating its headquarters. This comes after Trump indicated that Fed Chair Jerome Powell's handling of the renovation could be grounds for firing. A U.S. president has not visited the central bank since 2006. Well, to the action on Dalal Street now. Positive global cues failed to lift sentiment on Dalal Street. The Sensex and the Nifty ending at the low point of the day after some sharp cuts. The Sensex lost over 500 points. The Nifty down 150. The Nifty Bank Index fared relatively better. Mid-caps falling in tandem with the blue chips. Now, shares of Indian Energy Exchange plunging 30% a day after India's electricity regulator announced a mechanism known as market coupling. Now, this will allow energy markets to create a single uniform price for electricity across different trading platforms. The move will curb IEX dominance. Now, this fall is the second steepest decline among BSE 500 stocks that we've seen in the last 5 years, behind only Z Entertainment. Hormuz is standing by with more on the other times a stock has witnessed such steep losses on Dalal Street. A 30% cut for IEX Hormuz today. I mean, it's hard to stomach.
Hard to sum up indeed, and it's possibly the accident of the day, undoubtedly so. A 30% fall, the biggest drop on record for the stock itself. But this is not the first time that a stock has seen such a big intraday fall. In the last 5 years, we've seen many such accidents take place, and in fact, some of them in the last 12 months itself. We start off with the big one, though. Z Entertainment was that one. It was a 32% fall that took place in January of 2024, and this was the day when the company had called off its mega merger that it had announced with Sony, and that was the day when the stock had taken this knock that it saw. IEX, of course, we spoke about it, 30% fall today after the market coupling norms, and analysts also cutting their targets on the stock, expecting more downside. So that's a 30% fall for IEX. Adani Enterprises was the one that fell almost 28% on the 1st of February of 2023, and that is the day when it had called off its mega 20,000 crore rupee FPO in light of the Hindenburg report that had come out, which led to the stock seeing that very, very sharp fall along with other group companies as well. IndusInd Bank, of course, the saga came to light this year itself in March. The 27% drop was the biggest that it has seen on record in its trading history after the derivative portfolio discrepancies came to light. The saga now hopefully brokerage is estimating that will end as FY26 moves on. Paytm is the other one, a value destroyer for all these months. 2021 was the date listed on the 18th of November. It listed at a discount. It continued to move lower and continues to remain below its IPO price even today. Now, REC and PFC, both of them saw 25%, 23% drop on the 4th of June last year. That was the day when the Lok Sabha election results were declared, and all of the PSUs had taken a big knock during that trading session. And lastly, Cyient, another 23% drop in January of this year, and this is after the company had cut its growth guidance for both revenue and margins of a key business vertical, and that is what caused this stock price to fall in January this year. So definitely not the first instance, but the street would be hopeful that it definitely is the last for sure.
Well, many thanks, Hormuz, for joining us. Stocks seeing the biggest single-day declines. IEX today down over 30%. Now, IndusInd Bank's board has approved a fundraise of 30,000 crore rupees. The move is anticipated to provide confidence to investors and improve the bank's balance sheet. Shares of the private lender were under pressure in trade today. Ritu joins us now with more. Ritu, take us through the bank's mega fundraise proposal and what it will mean.
Well, yes, the board of IndusInd Bank has approved a fundraise of up to 30,000 crore rupees, which is going to be subject to shareholder and regulatory approvals. Now, this includes up to 20,000 crores through debt securities, through private placements, and an additional 10,000 crore rupees through equity instruments like QIP, GDR, or EDR. Now, importantly, the RBI has also cleared an amendment to the bank's Articles of Association, which will allow the promoter group to nominate up to 2 non-executive, non-independent directors to the board of IndusInd Bank. Now, remember, even currently, promoters Hindujas Group already have 1 representative on the board, which is Sudeep Basu, and this amendment will now allow them to have up to 2 representatives. Now, IndusInd Bank already maintains a healthy CET1 ratio of 15.1% and overall capital adequacy of 16.24%. So this capital raise is really being positioned not out of necessity as much as a strategic move. And analysts on the street are calling it confidence capital, which is aimed at reassuring investors really, especially following the prior asset write-offs and the current accounting issues that the bank is grappling with. Now, after this fundraise, the CET1 ratio is expected to rise to about 17.5%, which will imply a 240 basis point capital accretion. Now, if the bank does go ahead with this equity fundraise, we understand the promoter group, which currently holds about 15% stake in the bank, may also participate to avoid their stake dilution, as they have previously indicated in statements and even in their interviews to us. And this capital infusion by the promoters could also give a positive signal to the street.
Ritu, many thanks. Now, the government has appointed former Department of Economic Affairs Secretary Ajay Seth as the new chairman of the insurance regulator, the IRDAI. He will hold the post for 3 years. The post has been vacant since March of this year after Debashish Panda finished his tenure. Seth has over 33 years of experience in public service. RBI, SEBI and now the IRDAI are all being helmed by former Finance Ministry bureaucrats. The Enforcement Directorate conducted searches at nearly 40 locations linked to Anil Ambani's Reliance Group companies in connection with an alleged money laundering case. Sources say the raids are in connection with Reliance Communications allegedly defrauding banks over loans worth 14,000 crore rupees. Santya is here with the details.
Shireen, ED started raiding premises linked to Anil Ambani and Anil Ambani group of companies this morning. Right now, we are outside one of the locations where the raids started this morning. And as we speak, raids are underway at 40 premises linked to Anil Ambani and Anil Ambani group of companies and 25 people. ED is investigating charges of money laundering and loan defraud and illegal diversion of funds to the tune of 14,000 crore rupees. And according to ED says that its charges and the investigation is also built on input which it received from other agencies like SEBI. Now, ED says that the investigation pertains to Yes Bank loan fraud case and other cases. Now, talking about the overall amount is 14,000 crore, over 14,000 crore rupees as per the ED investigation, and this is just preliminary investigation. ED is investigating charges of siphoning of public money and cheating public banks, investors, shareholders. Also, ED is looking into charges of bribing promoters and executives of Yes Bank and Canada Bank as well. Now, ED says that the raids started this morning. As of now, the raids continue. ED is looking into the charges of illegally diverting the funds. According to ED, the loans were secured in an illegal manner, and then later the loan money was actually diverted into what appears to be shell companies. ED is looking into all these charges as of now, and as we speak, the raids are underway in Mumbai and Delhi. In fact, some residences of top executives of the company are also being raided at present. Shireen.
All right, Santya, many thanks for joining us. In earnings, Nestle has reported a weak set of numbers in the first quarter, missing street estimates on most fronts. Net profit down over 13%. Revenues grew 6% on an annual basis. The company said the quarter was impacted by elevated consumption prices across the commodity portfolio. The management also said the company witnessed higher operation costs due to significant expansion in manufacturing in the last 7 to 8 months. Google's parent company Alphabet surpassing expectations on revenues and earnings per share in Q2. Net income increased nearly 20% on an annualized basis. The company also said it would raise capital investment by $10 billion in 2025. The tech major also raised its capital investment figure from $75 billion to $85 billion, citing strong demand for its cloud products and services. Staying with global earnings, auto giant Tesla posting weak numbers, missing street estimates. The company reported a 16% drop in auto revenue and sales plummeted for a second straight quarter on an annual basis. Elon Musk says the company will face few rough quarters. Time for a break, but up next, Air India gets 4 show cause notices from the aviation regulator. That and more when we return. The aviation regulator, the DGCA, has issued 4 show cause notices to Air India. The notices concern scheduling of crew training and safety standards. Madhya is standing by with the details. Madhya, take us through the details of why Air India has been show caused by the regulator.
Well, things clearly not looking good for Air India from a regulatory standpoint. We're also seeing multiple flight incidents, especially after the June 12 accident. All 4 show cause notices were issued on 23rd July. I'll talk about what each notice says. One notice is for 3 instances where Air India crew members were not given their mandatory weekly rest. The DGCA says this points to serious lapses in crew scheduling and oversight. A show cause notice has been issued to the Director of Flight Operations. Next is on pilot training lapses. The DGCA has flagged 19 violations in pilot training procedures. Simulator checks were either delayed or not done. Some pilots were even cleared to fly without meeting mandatory training requirements, including for night operations. Then, cabin crew competency. In 3 cases, cabin crew members operated flights either with expired competency cards or without completing the required post-incident retraining. The DGCA calls this a clear breach of rules and has held the cabin crew training management accountable. And finally, long-haul flight safety. 4 incidents where ultra-long-range flights were operated with fewer cabin crew than required. That's a direct violation of fatigue risk norms. A show cause notice has been issued to the Director of Cabin Safety. Air India has been asked to respond to these 4 show cause notices in 14 to 15 days.
All right, Madhya, many thanks for joining us. In fact, the aviation industry says there were 58 aviation-related incidents reported in the last 3 years. Answering a question in Parliament, the ministry said that these incidents may have happened due to various reasons, including bad weather, technical snags and bird hits. In another reply to Parliament, the aviation ministry said that Air India has released an interim compensation of 25 lakh rupees to the kin of the 128 deceased people as of the 18th of July. For the remaining deceased in the Ahmedabad crash, the compensation is in various stages of document submission by their kin. The ministry added that the Tata Sons Trust has also been registered and formalities are underway to enable the voluntary ex gratia payment of 1 crore rupees each to the victims. 241 people died on the board of the Air India 171 aircraft, while 19 people were killed on ground. The aviation ministry said that Air India reported a minor increase in sick leaves taken by pilots across all fleet after the AI 171 accident in Ahmedabad. The ministry told Parliament that a total of 112 pilots reported sick 4 days after the incident. This included 51 commanders and 61 first officers. Global news. Google has moved the Supreme Court of India challenging an NCLAT order that partly upheld the competition watchdog's findings on the company's Play Store billing policy. The case stems from a CCI directive that found Google guilty of abusing its dominant market position. Ashmit is here with more details. Ashmit.
Well, this has been a long-standing dispute between Google as well as the Competition Commission. The CCI order, if you remember, had come out with very stern findings against Google, saying that there's been an abuse of dominant position with respect to the Play Store, with respect to Android, and with respect to its in-app billing system. That's something that's at the heart of this entire dispute. What is also relevant is that while Google is directly challenging this before the Supreme Court, the startup community will also be watching this very carefully, because the core concern that had been raised and that was upheld by the NCLAT is that Google was in fact abusing its dominant position with Play Store for asking for imposing conditions on app developers to use the Google billing system for their in-app purchases. This is something that the CCI took objection to, that was upheld by the NCLAT, and now in challenge to that, Google has come before the Supreme Court. Bear in mind, they were looking at a penalty of 936 crore rupees at the hands of CCI. That was watered down to 200 odd crore rupees by the NCLAT. So that issue of the penalty component and the implications with respect to what the fallout for Google's policies, for payment systems, for Play Store could be. For that particular issue, Google now knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court.
Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here. Stay with us. We're back in a moment with more.